But I think in real life, I do think it's definitely an advantage that working together as family and as sisters and twin sisters, because I think it's so efficient and we know each other inside out. So it's really efficient working, and we probably don't have meetings that are longer than 15-20 minutes ever, because we just know each other inside out. You just say immediately what you think. We have lots of discussions, but there's no tiptoeing. You don't need to be polite, or you don't need to think like how to rephrase it like you have with colleagues. So I think it's great that you can 100% trust each other. So I think, for example, with Christmas, we probably talk 90% about double Dutch. But I think that's also a nice thing. And I think if you're really passionate about what you do and you really enjoy the work that you do, I don't think it matters, because it doesn't really feel like work.
Our guest today, all the way from the UK, is Raissa De Haas. She's the co-founder of the mixer brand The Double Dutch. Raissa runs this venture with her twin sister Joyce. Join us today for the podcast to know more about how she discovered her love for making great drinks while getting a degree in economics, what working in the food and beverage industry is really like, the benefits of running an online store, working with family, and what it takes to constantly reinvent a product. So hit that subscribe button and the post notification bell, grab yourself a drink, and join us for today's podcast. Hi Raissa, welcome on to the Career Show. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being here with us today from London.
Thank you for having me. Very exciting.
So Raissa, when I was reading up about Double Dutch drinks, I read that you and your sister Joyce figured out that this is something you wanted to do due to the parties you guys were hosting, right? Do you want to talk to us about those days, and how did you get that proof of concept while creating those mixers at those parties?
Yes, of course. So with Double Dutch, we do a range of 12 more innovative tonic waters and mixers that, like cucumber, watermelon, pomegranate, and basil, that can be drank either on its own or with alcohol. And my sister and I, we are Dutch twins, hence the name Double Dutch. And growing up in the Netherlands, because gin was originally invented there, we knew lots of the local distilleries. Our parents, they did organize lots of tastings at the end of the last Friday of every month. So we grew up building kind of a big passion for spirits and quality drinks. And then as we grew older and we started hosting our own parties, we started making our own tonic waters, because we noticed that there were so many amazing gins and vodkas on the market. The choice of tonic waters was kind of lacking behind and a bit boring. So we just made our own tonics very primitively, kind of heating up syrups in a saucepan and then adding carbonized water. And then we kind of just bought those to parties, and we hosted lots of parties ourselves. But we never really thought about doing anything serious with it. We thought it was a nice hobby to do, and that was basically it. But then we graduated. I started working in banking. Really didn't like that. And my sister also started working in finance. So we kind of decided very early on that finance wasn't really for us. So we decided to quit our jobs and move to London to study a second master, basically an MBA at UCL. And that was a 1-year master in tech entrepreneurship here in London. And the idea was to kind of devote your year about starting a startup in the fintech space. But we noticed here in London, the British even drink more than the Dutch, and there were an amazing amount of gin here. So we also university got, we just write our dissertation about what we're really passionate about, which was the drinks industry. And they said, yeah, of course, that's fine. So we did a year of market research into consumers, bartenders, lots of mixologists, into kind of what kind of mixers and tonic waters that they were looking for. And then in the end, we graduated with the concept of Double Dutch, which was more around flavor exploration, around making cocktails really easy for bars as well as people at home. And with that, we graduated. We got a prize for best thesis of the year from our university. And with that, they gave us our initial investment. But one of the requirements to get that funding was to stay in the UK and start the company here. So hence, we thought, why not? We'll give it a try. And then from there on, it went really well. We launched our first initial flavors, which were cucumber, watermelon, and pomegranate and basil, mid 2015. And from there on, built the range. At the moment, we have 12 flavors.
Wow, just the concept of you're doing something in your college days and that turning into
your business is just simply so amazing, you know. Did any of those flavors from those parties end up being one of the initial flavors that you ended up launching?
We tried. I mean, we made lots of different flavors. Some really nice ones, some a little bit less. But cucumber and watermelon was always kind of a flavor that we made. So that was that definitely went ahead. Yeah.
Mhm. But talking about the dissertation and the seed money you got from that dissertation, how important do you think that funding was for you to get started? And especially money coming from a dissertation, how important was that for you to get started?
It wasn't a lot, to be honest, and it was kind of prize money. So I think for us that kind of gave us just a push, as we kind of get, it was kind of a start for us to get kind of some kind of credibility in the start, and made us just think, let's just try it, and from there on we'll see how it goes. So I think it was a good initial push to really get started, but it wasn't significant enough to really start the business with.
Uh-huh. But have you ever thought about this, that what if you wouldn't have gotten that money? Would you have still started Double Dutch? Have you ever given that a thought?
Um, I don't know. I think we probably would have always made tonic waters for friends, but I don't know if you maybe. I don't know. It that kind of made it real into really started making a business out of it. So I don't know.
But talking about your education, like you said, you studied business, you did tech entrepreneurship. How has those couple of degrees helped you in the field of food and beverages and culinary? Has it really impacted what you're currently doing?
So I did first a bachelor and master in finance, or bachelor in kind of general economics and then finance, which I think was probably too broad and didn't. I mean, it gives a good foundation on understanding kind of the financial part of the business and kind of having a good kind of that part. But I think having that year in entrepreneurship, it was really kind of versatile. We learned really about all the different aspects of starting your own company, from kind of marketing to raising investment to structuring your contracts with co-founders. So I think that really did help quite a lot, and it really made you push through to find an idea that you're really passionate about and that you're really standing behind. So I think that year at UCL really, I think it was super crucial, and yeah, I can definitely recommend it.
You know, coming from India, where as I've been brought up, you know, a lot of importance is given to degrees. The importance is shifting these days. But if you want to do something of your own, go ahead, do it. But parents would still want you to get a degree, you know. Uh, how is the scene for you back in Dutch? Did you ever face something like this, or your parents were okay with you guys doing whatever you guys wanted to do?
I think in the beginning, actually, when we were kind of starting with Double Dutch, we had two masters, and our parents said, like, "You're crazy. You have two masters. Why don't you go and find like a good job at a corporate, and why would you want to start your own soft drinks company? It's never gonna work. I mean, it's such hard work. So many people try, but only the Coca-Colas of this world really survive." So I think they just thought, like, why do you have two masters, why would you do that? But now they are super supportive, and I think once it really started working well, after in the first few months as well, they were really, really supportive.
Was there a kind of an advantage in the conversation with your parents that both the sisters were going to be working together on this initiative?
I don't know if it was an advantage to our parents, but I think in real life, I do think it's definitely an advantage that working together as family and as sisters and twin sisters, because I think it's so efficient, and we know each other inside out. So it's really efficient working, and we probably don't have meetings that are longer than 15-20 minutes ever, because we just know each other inside out. You just say immediately what you think. We have lots of discussions, but there's no tiptoeing. You don't need to be polite, or you don't need to think like how to rephrase it like you have with colleagues. So I think it's it's great that you can 100% trust each other. So I do think it's really helpful to have a co-founder that's family.
Indian family businesses is again a huge thing. So most of the businesses back in the day, especially, were indie family businesses. And while I was reading up on this topic, I actually came across that fact when two twins work together, they tend to communicate way faster than anyone else, and they are way more efficient than anyone else.
Yeah, definitely.
And you guys are just proof of it. But that being said, when you're working with your family, there seem to be conflicts and challenges as well. Are there any conflicts and challenges that you have faced while working with your sister? And if such conflicts come up, how do you guys tend to resolve them?
I think probably the biggest disadvantage is that our work private life is so intertwined with each other. I think, for example, with Christmas, we probably talk 90% about Double Dutch. But I think that's also a nice thing. And I think if you're really passionate about what you do and you really enjoy the work that you do, I don't think it matters because it doesn't really feel like work. Otherwise, I don't think there's any disadvantages. No.
I think that's great, right? Which is just great proof that family businesses work so well. But coming back to Double Dutch, I want to talk to you about how you guys innovate and come up with different flavors. I'm sure some flavors work better than the others. How do you guys innovate in this process?
So I think we always we start with just looking at flavors that work, flavors that are on trend. So we look at market data quite a lot, kind of as a starting base. All our drinks are double flavored. So we always kind of start with one ingredient and then look at it also from a more objective way. So we generally use molecular pairing. So it's kind of looking at it, at the aromas from different ingredients and pairing them that way. And then we only use natural flavors. So we try to work with really high quality ingredients. And it's a lot of tastings, lots of tasting on its own, but also tasting with spirits. So it's always a fun period when we are developing new products.
So you just mentioned that you guys use natural products, which are high quality products, right? With that being said, the cost would tend to be higher when it comes to your drinks. How do you deal with the cost factor? And how do customers react to that in the market, which is so competitive?
I think we from the start decided to focus on the premium end of the market. And with that, we wanted to really bring out the best flavor and the best product. So we are not competing against, for example, white label products or the lower end of the market. We are competing in a premium end, and that's also where our pricing sits. And I think for us, it's all about everyday little joys and little luxuries. So I think in drinks or in soft drinks, especially, it's the cash difference is quite marginal. It's not a lot cash wise because it's about at maximum a few pounds. But I think when you start your company, you kind of need to decide at what spectrum you want to sit in. If you want to be kind of more mainstream or more premium, it also depends on the type of customers that you're gonna service. We kind of focused a lot in the beginning on the 5-star hotels, on the higher end cocktail bars.
Correct.
And from there on kind of dripped down a little bit and went a little bit more mainstream, went more to supermarkets and retailers. But in the beginning, we very much focused on the super high-end customers.
While talking about pricing, like I mentioned, the food and beverages industry is very competitive. You mentioned that your parents also said that when you guys are starting off, that there are so many Coca-Colas out there, there are so many beverage companies out there. There is always a feeling that people are so in love with food and drinks that somewhere down the line, every person wants to have is either food company or beverage company. In such a competitive market, what made you guys feel that you guys are going to make it happen? What was your thought process when You guys were developing this product and you guys knew that there was going to be so much competition in it.
I think it's definitely a very competitive space, but on the other hand, I think tonic waters compared to, for example, the whole gin market is there's maybe 20 players in the market, whilst I think there's over 1,000 gins. So I think in relativity, it's not as competitive, but of course, there's lots of competition, and I think it's just important that you have a standout product, that you know what's different, what you're really focusing on. For us, that's really about, our mission is never drink dull, and that's kind of our tagline. We're all about flavor and flavor exploration. We would never launch, we are never about tonic plus a hint of flavor. We are always about flavor first, and that's kind of in our core. And that really sits in our innovation, and flavor exploration really sits in our DNA. So that's really what we focus on and what makes us stand out. And I think if you're passionate about your product and you really believe in the products, I think anyone can make it happen. And it's just hard work. You need to give
100%.
quite a lot of sacrifices in the beginning, which is fine if you completely believe in it. And I think it's about celebrating the smaller successes and just keep going.
100%. Those are some great entrepreneurship advice from you. But you also mentioned about flavors, and when I think about beverages, something that always comes to my mind is brick and mortar stores, wherein I can go in, taste the flavors. Earlier, you said when you are innovating as well, there's a lot of tasting happening. But as a customer as well, going into a brick and mortar store and just being able to taste different mixes is just such an amazing feeling. And I'm sure that would bring joy to you as a founder as well. In today's day and age where everything is going online, how do you see the shift happening in terms of being able to make the customers taste your mixes before they actually buy it?
I think it's indeed amazing to be sitting in, for example, we were on holiday in Mykonos, and there we saw, like, we were in a random restaurant that we never knew that stocked Double Dutch, or we didn't even know that we were supplying in Mykonos. And then we saw we were ordering gin and tonics, and it came with Double Dutch, and that's amazing. And that's so satisfying indeed with having a physical product. I think now finally the world is opening up again. So hospitality industries is booming. We've seen with most of our customers, with bars and restaurants telling us that their average spend has gone up a lot compared to last year. So I do think that people really want to go out and celebrate, don't want to have the same old, for example, just standard gin and tonic or beer or wine that they were having at home in the past 18 months. So I think they want to see something different. So that's really helping our distribution at the moment. But I think most of our online customers, I assume that they've been trying Double Dutch at bars,
Correct.
really enjoyed it, and then go online and buy it. And I think the same with retailers. We have a really high repurchase rate. So we need to try and get consumers to first try the product. So we do lots of sampling campaigns. For example, this summer we've got a kind of branded cocktail bar on wheels. We're driving around London and in the UK, where we're doing lots of sampling campaigns. We're doing lots of, we're trying to do, so it's all about kind of getting liquor on lips and getting people to try it, definitely. And I think with COVID, definitely that was different. But on the other hand, I think people were also more open about trying new things that they haven't really tried before, because they wanted something special at home. And I think after being 18 months at home, not going out, people were really wanting something different. So that also helped sales online. So I think all in all, it isn't too bad.
Lockdowns are going to end. The food and beverage industry is picking up. But how was the entire lockdown for the food and beverage industry, right? I've heard so much that the food and beverage industry was one of the most affected industries, the hospitality industry. You said hospitality industry was one of your biggest clients, so that's how you started off. So how did COVID-19 impact Double Dutch, and how did you fight those challenges that you were facing due to COVID-19?
Yeah, the majority of our revenues came from hospitality pre-COVID. So we thought in the beginning it's going to be very much a nightmare. But then everyone, like e-commerce massively boomed. Amazon grew over 1,500%.
Wow.
We got some really good new retailers on board in the UK, but also in Europe, even some new retailers in Asia. So I think we didn't expect that massive boom of drinking at home, and just the amount of our retail sales and e-commerce, they've just really were through the roof. So we managed to not lose any revenue last year just because people were really drinking a lot of gin and tonics at home, which was very positive. And I think in the end, in hindsight, we started focusing a lot on retail. We put all our focus there. 4 days after lockdown, we launched our own web shop on our own D2C channel, which we didn't have before. So I think now coming out of COVID, I think actually it's quite a positive thing, because we have a new channel that we have a lot more distribution in. We have a lot more new retailers on board in physical stores, but also e-commerce. I don't think it's ever going to go back to what it was pre-COVID. So I think that whole e-commerce boom probably I read somewhere that we kind of won 5 years ahead of in the whole e-commerce popularity. So I think now people are really used to ordering food and drinks online and on their app. So, and then with that, restaurants and bars are back to opening. So I think it's actually quite a positive thing that we are more spread in e-commerce, retail, as well as bars and restaurants.
Unfortunately, I couldn't try Double Dutch when I visited London, but I hope you expand to India soon, where I can also try it out and see how it really is, you know.
Yeah.
With that being said, are you guys planning to expand to different countries out of Europe now?
Yeah, we export to 40 countries already. And we are planning a big launch in the US later this year. So we're also probably planning to kind of move there a little bit. And so we are exporting to about 40 countries at the moment. And for the coming 5 years, we definitely want to distribute to more countries. I think there's massive opportunity in Southeast Asia. And kind of those countries there, but also the US is going to be really, really exciting. We're going to do it quite slow in the US, but that's definitely a big push for the next few years. And then getting more distribution in our current 40 countries as well. So definitely a lot of focus on export and geographical expansion.
Well, you know, that just sounds amazing. I'm also going to be heading to the US. So if not India, I'll definitely check out Double Dutch in the US when I go for my education. But before we get towards the end of the podcast, I just wanted to throw in a quick rapid fire section, because the audience has been asking us for these rapid fire sections and they seem to enjoy it. So how does that sound? A quick rapid fire section?
Fine.
Perfect. So what's one of your best and one of your worst mixers that you love to drink?
My absolute favorite from our Double Dutch range is our cucumber margarita soda at the moment with tequila. Super, super nice. The worst, that doesn't exist. You can't say about your children who is your least favorite. So I'm not going to answer that.
That's a great way to answer. What's been one of your craziest mixer innovation process?
I think probably our Bloody Mary soda, which is sparkling. It's clear. It's a completely different version of your standard Bloody Mary. So it's really innovative, and I'm really excited about this one. And it's kind of a love it or hate it. Works really well with vodkas, but also actually with whiskey. I quite like it. So I think that's probably our most crazy product.
What is one food combo that you absolutely love? What's one food combo that you absolutely hate?
Dim sum is my absolute favorite food. So I would eat that with anything. Probably with ginger beer, quite a lot actually. And worst food combination. Never really thought about it. I don't really have any worst things. No.
That's completely fine. Moving on to the next question. What is one online trend that you seem to absolutely love?
I think the whole online boom of ordering food and drinks to your door, that you can now get like groceries within 10 minutes. I mean, it's incredible. So I'm very excited about that.
What do you love about running a business?
Seeing people enjoying it and having random places where you don't expect it, enjoying people having a party, drinking double Dutch, and kind of enjoying the little things in life.
100%. The Mykonos story was honestly such a crazy story, and I'm sure that's such a proud feeling.
Exactly.
The last rapid fire question that I have for you, if not double Dutch, then what?
If I wouldn't have started double Dutch, then what? Then probably would have gone into a finance, big corporates, probably, because that was what I studied for, and probably wouldn't really have enjoyed it.
Well, that was the rapid fire section. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope the audience enjoys it. But that being said, Raissa, we've covered your past story. We've spoken about your childhood. We've spoken about your education. We've spoken about the present of double Dutch. I want to talk about the future of double Dutch. One, you've studied tech entrepreneurship, right? With that being said, I want to ask you, where do you see tech fitting into your business, which with double Dutch?
Probably not massively, but I do think that we used to do everything very manual, from orders to all our ingredients sourcing, for example. And we're now putting a whole new system in place where we are automating everything, and it's really having a massive impact into the business in the better. And I think it's so much easier to get real life data, which is so important to make good informed decisions, we kind of just get visibility on every single part of the business. So I think that's been really helpful, and probably the biggest piece of data that we have in our business. Further, I don't think we have a lot of data, a lot of IT or tech in our business, probably.
Well, I'm sure digital transformation is going to be a big factor in the future, and I'm sure your tech entrepreneurship journey is going to be of use of help in that case.
Definitely.
But I've read that you both made it to the Forbes 30 and the 30. You guys have won so many awards also in the food and beverages industry. What is next for you guys? Where do you see this going in the future? What plans do you have? Other than expanding, obviously.
We are indeed the most awarded tonic water on the market, which is super exciting. But I think for us, just really, we want to grow Double Dutch further. I'm super excited about new product development, about growing further internationally, but really keeping the UK as our home market and our kind of case study markets. And I think for us, we really just want to grow it. In an ideal, probably we would love to stay involved probably for the rest of our lives, but anything can happen. I don't know. I think we'll see what the future brings, but we're very ambitious and we're just gonna keep growing.
Well, you definitely should be ambitious. Raissa, this has been a great podcast. I have one last question for you before I let you go. Is there any piece of advice you wish you had received before you started off your professional journey?
I think what I would have done differently is from the beginning be a lot more organized and kind of keep track of what you're doing. I think we never really, in the beginning, we didn't keep track of the meetings that we had. We lost so many contact details just because we weren't organized enough. So I think in the beginning, you just kind of keep running around and you're kind of trying to get sales. And in the meantime, doing a little bit of everything. And we just didn't have any organization, Joyce and I. So I wish from the start, I would have kind of just put everything kind of a little bit on file for later use. And I think in general, for people thinking to start their own company, just start and don't try to perfectionize it in your kitchen or whatever. Just go out, produce it in small batches and start actually selling it. Because I think we learned so much from when we launched. We got so much feedback on, for example, our labels, on kind of the branding around us, that we had a few little tweaks after our first batch in our product as well. And I think we learned a lot from we did a year of market research, and you think that you know it, but it's so different once you actually start selling it to customers and people wanting to pay you for it. So I think that was super valuable. And I think just it doesn't really make sense to perfectionize and wait to really launch until you think it's perfect, because you have to change it anyway. Or I would be always very open to change it. So I think just go out and start selling.
Well, that's a great advice you shared with the audience. And with that, I want to wish you and Joyce the very best of luck. I hope to see Double Dutch grow to many, many more countries. And with that, also, thank you so much for coming on to the Career Show and sharing the journey of your job.
Thank you very much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this week's career discussion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support means a lot.